Good morning and welcome to Sports Talk on this Saturday morning. We've got a couple of special guests that we're going to talk to this morning about that world premiere movie that was in town on Thursday, Through These Gates. Past the greatest fans in college football. As we get ready for the season, we're thinking that as the Huskers get ready to take on Wyoming. And we've got Ryan Tweedy, director and producer of Through These Gates, that premiered at the Midwest Theater and other venues around the area. Good morning.
Good morning.
David
How you doing?
Max with us as well.
Good morning.
Doing well. And of course, we're going to talk about what this movie's all about, how it came about, what the implications are. It's a fundraising opportunity for a lot of organizations. So, gosh, I don't know. There's a lot to talk about. Let's start with the inspiration and how it all got started.
Well, I'm from Lincoln, and so that's sort of where the inspiration started, I guess, was, growing up just a mile away from the stadium, you can't help but be a Husker fan. And as I noticed that the farther away I got, because I moved from Chicago, then to LA, and the farther I got away from Lincoln, like I always cared, but I mean, it got to the point where it was like an obsession. Like I cared so much, and people would almost make fun of me for it. Like, why do you care so much about this stuff? People that didn't get it from other states and stuff. And then one time I was working on a documentary. This would have been in March 2011, and I was in India with a gentleman named Hashar Darvish, and we were doing he was directing documentary, I was just running camera, on a film about the Dalai Lama, and we were back in a nunnery in the Himalayan mountains, and we were interviewing this nun, a Buddhist nun.
And she said, "Go Big Red."
Oh, this is better than that. She goes, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Oh, I'm from Nebraska." And she goes, "Oh, the Cornhuskers?" And I was like, "What? How do you even know that?" And apparently her secretary was from Omaha. So I got to sit and talk to her secretary, and the director of that film was just so kind of taken back by the fact that, one, that's how we were recognized, even by someone that isn't from here. And this lady lived in a cave for 10 years and meditated in a cave and had no contact with the outside world. Like, it was crazy that she still knew that. And then he was also taken back by the fact that me and the secretary were like old friends, even though we'd never met, because of that one common bond. And then he started going, you need to do something about this. That's really special. He's like, it might not seem that way to you because you grew up in it, but to other people, that's something. And so we started kind of spitballing ideas, and then we came up with this movie.
Outstanding. So let's talk about it. What did people see, and what can they see if they can still get a hold of it?
Well, it's about the fans. It's about the community. It's about the people of Nebraska. It's about, sort of what it means to be a Cornhusker. And we would sit in a room and just ask a million questions like, well, what about this? What about this? Does it mean this? Does it mean that? And we would explore it. And we got over 60 hours of footage and tried to cut it down to 86 minutes. And that's what it is. And that's what they saw. And I hope that I did them justice, and I hope that they're proud of it, as proud of it as I am.
So are you proud of it?
Words can't express how proud of it I am, and not just because I made the movie and all that, but what's the word I'm looking for? It proved that I was right, that everything I believed about my state and the people in my state and where I grew up was true. Like, everything that we saw backed it up. And we talked to people from the president of Northwestern. We talked to people from UCLA. We talked to Barry Switzer, people that have no dog in the fight, and they said the same thing every time. It was unanimous. I never heard a negative word about Nebraska and about the fans.
And you'll never hear me say anything negative about Barry Switzer. Even during the Oklahoma-Nebraska battles, I loved Oklahoma, and I loved Barry Switzer. So
yeah, but Barry was a class act. He invited us into his house, and by the way, very nice house.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. And he was just a Southern gentleman. He was great.
Okay, I know that there's probably he goes back. He and Tom Osborne, their careers paralleled each other, and I know that Barry was good friends with Bob Devaney, and so there's a lot of ties there. Brooke Beringer's part of the film, and the relationship that the university still has with Jan Beringer, the mom, and we'll bring that up because he was born in Scottsbluff, And,
I didn't know that. I thought he was from Goodland, Kansas. His whole
Goodland,
life.
Kansas is where he played football, but he was born here in Scottsbluff, so we claim him. And I think I was the last known person to interview him before the plane crashed, because he was out here for an autograph signing. But I mean, that's a touching part. And
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, like professionally, I've ever had to do, was sit down. We interviewed Jan Beringer for, at least 3 hours. It was just listening to her talk. It was just the way that the fans sort of rallied around her. The way it's not even about fans at that point. It's just the people of Nebraska just rallied around her, and the way she sort of leaned on them for support at times, and that they've still maintained that relationship with her. It was one of the most touching things, and we tried to show it the best we could in the film. It's one of those things that it's hard to put on film because it's the energy in the room when you're talking to her was just so intense. It's hard to capture that. But I think we did a really good job, and we still talk. I still talk to Jan occasionally. She's a really special person, and her story was pretty cool.
Times have changed a little bit since I grew up with Nebraska football and I was down at the university. Even the assistant coaches were rock stars, and I don't know if there's as much rock stars now as they used to be, but yeah, everybody knew who everybody was.
Yeah.
On the Nebraska football team.
Tim Beck. Tim Beck. He is a rock star. I was just actually reading about him. Was it yesterday? Actually, on HuskerMax.com. I was actually reading on your website.
That's a good plug.
Yeah. He is a rock star. Charlie McBride. We talked to Charlie McBride, Milt Tenniper, from the old days, and.
Be careful now.
Oh, sorry. Not the real old days, but he's a little bit older than Tim Beck.
Yeah, a little bit.
And those guys were geniuses. What they did the way that they sort of, they did things that no one else had done. And the black shirts, that really started with the pipeline. That really started with like Milt Tenniper in that time. And that's what in my opinion, that's what Tim Beck is doing with the offense now. He's doing things that people aren't used to. I don't speak football-y, so I can't really describe it, but he's kind of doing like a hybrid spread.
Oregon.
Yeah, like Oregon. Well, Oregon, but also I'm gonna make myself sound like a real idiot here, but he does some really amazing things now, and I don't know. I think he's gonna be a rock star.
I wouldn't doubt that, especially if they have their breakthrough year that I'm thinking they're going to have this year. I've predicted that they're only going to lose 1 or 2 games.
Which games?
They'll lose one in the Big Ten, and then they'll lose somewhere along the line that they're not supposed to.
I think we go undefeated, lose to Ohio State, go to a BCS Bowl, and dominate. And Kenny Bell wins the Heisman along with Abdullah and Martinez.
Wow. Okay, so. We're bleeding Big Red, but nobody talks Big Red football on the national scene anymore. Compared to what it was like years ago. But Jack Hoffman and his run in the spring game got more national attention than Nebraska's had in a long time. That's got to be huge.
Oh yeah, well,
and that's in the
it's in the movie. We actually it's kind of funny because I got to see it sort of firsthand almost, because we interviewed Jack and Andy's dad, and actually his mom and his little sister, before the Big Ten even interviewed him. I was talking, that's actually not true. I was talking to Andy before the Big Ten started talking to him. Right after Randy York made that article, I was like, whoa, I've got to talk to these guys. And it was before we really had any idea what was about to happen. And then all of a sudden, Big Ten, ESPN, and all this stuff just sort of blew up. And he's just when I met him, we played catch out in his backyard for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And he's just a kid. Like, he's just a kid. It's so hard. It's hard to explain. Like, I didn't really feel like, you know what I mean? It's hard to explain. And Andy, what that guy's doing in terms of he told me, he said, my goal is to raise $1 million for pediatric brain cancer. And I remember walking out there like, good luck. $1 million, that's a lot of money. I think he's going to do it if he hasn't already done it.
I think it's been done.
It's insane.
Close.
Yeah.
So, what's your best part of the film?
The best part?
What's your favorite part?
My favorite part? Man, that's a tough one. I've got so many. The astronaut part, we interviewed Clay Anderson from Ashland, and there's some really cool stuff. I won't give away what it is, but there's some really cool stuff that probably has never been seen before, unless you've met Clay. I mean, unless Clay has personally showed you. And man, the Jan Behringer stuff, Jack Hoffman stuff, Kent Titsey is one of the best part. All the fan interviews,
The walk-ons.
I mean, I love every part of it.
So is there anything that's not in there that you wish you would have put in? Or you left some stuff on the
Cutting room floor.
yeah.
There isn't enough Tom Osborne. There should have been more Tom Osborne. But he isn't. Husker fan, I could listen to Tom Osborne for 8 hours a day. I think he's a genius, and I just love listening to him.
Absolutely.
But when you're trying to cut a movie together, he isn't the most energetic guy. And so sometimes it would take him a really long time to say something. So we had to kind of trim him down a little bit, which is a bummer, but it had to be done or else the movie would have been 2.5 hours long. I would have loved to see more of him. What else? There's so many things. I mean, I would have loved to have gotten more game footage. Like, there's not a lot of game footage in there, but it is what it is. I'm really happy with where we are with it. I think we still did a good job with it.
Ryan Tweedy is our special guest, along with David Max. Now, you guys have been going around to Scottsbluff, Alliance, Sydney, Denver, Western Swing, and then back to Lincoln. So, how's it been received, and how did you pick the different towns to go to?
I'm going to let Dave answer that.
Well,
HuskerMax.com.
Yeah, Ryan came to me. When was it, about April, March or April?
It would have been when we released the very first teaser. I approached Dave because someone said, go to Husker Max. And so I went to Husker Max, and I found his email at the bottom. And that would have been over a year, March of 2012.
Okay. And so, but, once you finished the got it down to the 86 minutes, he said, we need to do screenings and set things up. And so we sat down at barbecue at my house one day and just said, hey, let's set these up so that every city that we go to is a fundraiser for that local booster club, nonprofit organization, whatever, so that we leave some benefit in each community that we go to. And so we started out, we were just going to do towns in Nebraska, and then we got requests from Ohio and Florida and Arizona and everywhere. So we just said, okay, we're gonna go wherever the requests are. And so now I just added it up the other day. If we do them all, we'll do 78 screenings in about 20 different states.
Wow.
Between now and Thanksgiving.
I got an email from
Huskers are everywhere.
Everywhere. I got an email from Japan. It would have been 2 weeks ago. I sent them out a couple DVDs, and they're trying to set up. It's a military base in Japan somewhere. I don't know where. And they're trying to do like a screening on the base for all the Huskers. She said there's over 30 Huskers that she knows of on that base.
It's everywhere. I was tired when I got to Hawaii just talking Husker football. I got off the plane with my Husker shirt on, and there was a guy that carried my bags that played for California against Nebraska. And then the priest at the Catholic church that we found on Waikiki was from Omaha. And the guy at the front desk wanted to talk volleyball. His daughter was being recruited by Nebraska, and he says, over my dead body will she go play for Nebraska, even though you're great, but you're taking glory away from Hawaii. And it's just fun to go anywhere.
Yeah.
But so fundraising opportunities in Scottsbluff, the Midwest Theater.
Yeah, the Midwest Theater is a nonprofit in Scottsbluff, and we are doing this with different organizations in different locations everywhere we go. Like in Sydney, it's the Boy Scouts. In Alliance, it's the girls' high school basketball team.
Jordan Hooper.
Yeah, and Kearney, it's the Rotary Club at the Knights of Columbus Hall. And Columbus, Nebraska, we're doing it at the American Legion to help Husker Salute, which is a nonprofit that got started at one of our tailgates several years ago, and they have a great program where they bring in about 300 former and current military and their family to Lincoln on a day when the team's on the road, when the hotel rooms are cheap, and Gary McGurr runs that, and he told me a few years ago. He said, "I'm gonna get somebody to pay for 100 rooms and bring these people in for this Husker Salute weekend." And I said, "You're crazy," but he didn't listen to me, and he did it. So this year will be the 6th year of that, and so a lot of these screenings are set up for Husker Salute. And another organization that kind of got its genesis through Husker Max was the Husker Greats Foundation. And that got started initially to help out Dave Humm, former quarterback who has multiple sclerosis, and he's had a lot of medical problems, and he needs daily home health care at the tune of about $300 a day. And so I told Dave, I said, just set up a PayPal account and I'll put it on the website and people will donate. And he said, "No, I can't do that." And he said, "Well, how about if we set up a nonprofit organization just like Mike Ditka's Gridiron Greats for NFL players?" And he said, "Okay, I'll go along with that." So I hung up the phone. I called Jerry Murtaugh, and Jerry made it happen. And they had a golf tournament last Father's Day, and I think they raised like $90,000. So those are the things, the feel good things that you get out of this, and Ryan and I obviously have seen the film many times already. So what we do is we watch the audience and how they react. And the nice thing about this film is you're laughing one minute and you're crying the next.
Yeah.
So people who didn't see it at the Midwest Theater.
Mm-hmm.
Will they have a chance to see it again in Scottsbluff? Will it come back, or will it be available to purchase?
Well, there will. You can always get a DVD, so the DVDs will be available. But the way what we've done is they go on pre-sale in September, and they don't actually get sent out till November. And the reason we did that is because the way these screenings are set up, I don't want to
People to get the.
Yeah, I don't want to hurt the screenings, because then these organizations won't, benefit, and so that's why that is. But yes, you can get a DVD, and there's also other screenings in the area, and if there's a good enough turnout and Scottsbluff wants to show it a couple times throughout the season, I'm okay with that. They would just I wouldn't be able to be here because we'll be all over the world.
You'll be in Japan. You'll be in Japan.
Yeah, I wish. If they called me and said go to Japan, I would be there not tomorrow, but I would be there.
Absolutely. Well, a great project. Thank you for doing it, and thank you for coming to Scottsbluff.
Yeah. Can I? There's something I wanted to say something about what Dave just said.
Okay.
And that's that the way this film got made is because Huskers, Nebraskans helped me. I could not have done it without them. They donated time. Farmers donated land. People with cameras donated equipment. A guy with a helicopter took me up for free. I didn't have any money. So the way this film got made is what this film is about is the same way that this film got made. And so it really was Huskers helping Huskers. And that's really super. I hope that comes across in this film because that's how it was made.
Very good. Ryan, a pleasure. David, thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.